The suspension of Godwin Emefiele as the central bank governor by President Bola Tinubu is still echoing through Nigeria's political and economic spectrums. In a season of deliberate systemic disruptions, the president also signed into law within this week a bill on student loans, but not many would have predicted the sealing off of the 17 local council headquarters in Plateau State by Inspector General of Police Usman Alkali Baba and the suspension of their chairman by the state government. For a discussion around the legality of these actions, we are now being joined by former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Michael Aondakaa, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Welcome to Newsday, sir. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Well, there are quite a few topics that we have to get to, but the most pressing of them seems to be the CBN governor's suspension. It's saying that it would take a 2/3 majority of the Senate in order to remove him if the president would be so, that's the way he wants to do it. What are I'm not sure if you know what the charges are against him. And in your professional opinion, what's it likely to come down to? His removal or just an investigation?
Well, thank you very much. There's a presumption under the Constitution, Section 36 of the Constitution, to the fact that anybody who is accused of a crime is presumed innocent until he's actually charged in court, tried, and convicted. But if you come to the issue of whether the president has the power to suspend, suspension is quite different from removal. Suspension for investigation is different from removal. Removal, the president can remove him only by 2/3 of the Senate, if he gets the 2/3 of Senate. But here, if you look at it, there is the recent Supreme Court judgment on Naira redenomination actually designated the CBN also as an agent of the president or agent of the federal government. Of course, the CBN governor is carrying out an executive function. So if you go by the judgment of the Federal High Court before, which says the president can suspend, that was in Sanusi's case, when he was suspended by Jonathan, there was a judgment of the Federal Court that the president has the right to suspend a CBN governor, but cannot remove the CBN governor except by 2/3. So that's supposed to be the law. That judgment has not been appealed to the Court of Appeal, to Supreme Court. But if you look at the decision of the Supreme Court, the case with the governors brought about against federal government in respect of the Naira designation, the Supreme Court was clear on the point that the CBN is carrying out executive function. And executive functions are derived from the powers vested in the president under Section 5, executive functions of the president, which can be exercised through the ministers and agents of government. So that being the case, he can be suspended. But there's something which we have to do. CBN governor occupies a very unique position in the economy of the country. And they also, having occupied a unique position in the economy of the country, it also have a unique position to demonstrate to the world that Nigeria is ruled by law. And we have a constitution that stipulates the period within somebody can be arrested and charged to court. So there must be a separation from arrest and detention and investigation. Investigation does not necessarily entail an arrest. But arrest can be made where the person is in a position to interfere with investigation, or he's likely to escape from justice. But where you detain beyond the constitutional period, then it becomes a problem. And I believe that the wisdom of arresting him, which I don't know, but the law enforcement agencies, especially the SSS who arrested him should be mindful of the fact that the Constitution says if you have arrested or commission of a crime, you should be arraigned to court within 48 hours. It's a constitutional provision, and I believe if you detain him endlessly, it will paint an eternity, because arrest of a CBN governor becomes an international issue. And if you detain him endlessly without arraigning him to court, it will give a wrong signal to investors who will come to. Is that country run like that? Even the CBN governor was arrested. He's not charged, he's detained indefinitely. But I don't know the circumstances of his detention now. Maybe they got a court order. But everything will come to public as things are unfolding. But I will actually expect that agencies of government must always have in mind to balance the fundamental human rights that are enshrined in the Constitution that protects an accused person within 48 hours. That will be more appropriate.
Very good, Mr. Aondakaa. And if I may still talk about the issue of fundamental human rights, although it's rather rare in such circumstances, but what are the provisions of the law, if any, regarding restatement if the accused is found to be innocent, you think?
If the accused is found to be innocent, it's the president. He's still the governor of Central Bank. He's not being removed. He's only suspended for investigation to be carried out. So the president, which has the power to suspend, has the power to restore him. It doesn't require, he has not been removed that his appointment will require an approval of the Senate. He has been suspended in exercise of an investigation, which is within the powers of the appointing authority, which is the president. And once the allegations are cleared, is if the allegation are routine, allegation does not entail criminality, then there was no need for detention. But if they intend criminality, then you have to follow the Constitution. You have to arraign him to court. And you cannot apply to the court that, look, the evidence are so much that if you release him, there may likelihood of interference with the Constitution, with the investigation. But to detain him without arraignment in court may give a real signal in the fact that the man occupies an part of Nigerian economy. And an economy grows based on rule of law. And therefore, where we can say, okay, he has committed a crime, and then we detain him indefinitely, there could be a side effect of it, and the side effect will be negative. It will say that, oh, even his CBN governor was arrested for crimes and has not been tried and has been taken to court. Our Constitution is a public document. People are well informed. The whole world knows it. And the provisions of the Constitution are also there. Everybody knows that in any civilized society, if you are accused of a crime, you should be arraigned before the court. And if there's likelihood of you escaping from justice, the prosecuting authorities will certainly apply to the court as to have the person detained. But I have also told you whether they got a detention order from the court that wish, like when I was Attorney General, is that there are safeguards. When you charge somebody to court and he interferes with the investigation, then you can apply to court to have his bail revoked. These are the safeguards prosecutors normally have. You arraign the person on the commission of a crime. He brings sureties. He gives undertaking not to interfere with interference. It's a good ground for you to go to the judge to ask him to revoke. So I have seen the situation as it is. It's a highly toxic and sensitive matter. It is desirable for the system to be cleaned up if there is evidence of crime being committed. But at the same time, society expects that the organic norm of our country, which is the Constitution, should not be disregarded by anybody, including security agencies. Therefore, if he overstays in the detention, then the law, you will be doing the right thing by violating the Constitution, which everybody has.
All right, and And still on that, the subject of removal or suspension, let's jump to another topic. This one, particularly in the Plateau State Council, wondering in your legal opinion what the legality of the dissolution of the Plateau State Council is. Is the governor within his rights, the new governor within his rights to do so after the local governments could not produce their financial records? Is this legal?
Well, two things are there. If the local government council chairman were elected local government chairman, then I will be acting ultra virus the decisions of the Supreme Court that say elected local government chairman cannot just be arbitrary. But I don't know whether they were caretaker chairmen or elected local government chairman. But I will see, and I don't know where they got the order that he is a Secretary General to seal up the local governments. But this is where a main problem is coming in Nigeria. We are failing to recognize that there are three tiers of government. You have the federal government, and I wonder how you can get a whole local government, 17 of them, you seal it up. That means you are shutting down the whole government. You can imagine if the federal government wakes up one day and says, I'm sealing off all the state government, where such a decision will look funny. So there are certain things we do and the structure of the Nigerian governments. Just like we have the judicial legislature, we also have the federal government, state government, and local government. And revenue allocation is shared on the basis of the legislative councils with powers to impeach a chairman. So I wonder where the interference is coming directly from the state government to the extent that he will cause IG to seal up 17 local government. That is the element of arbitrariness. And I believe that states should be able to follow the laid down decisions of the Supreme Court. The decisions of not dissolving local government has been done severally in Kitty, Benue, several states where Supreme Court has said an elected governor, a local government chairman, can never be dissolved by a state government, except his tenure ends at a fruition of time or he's removed constitutionally by his legislature. Mind you, the local governments also have their laws. Procedures are there for removal of a local government chairman. So where the governor got these powers, I don't know. I have not read the laws, the local government law of Plateau State, so I'm not in a position. But what I am uncomfortable with is sealing up 17, a whole tier of government at Plateau. It's not a good thing to say. And I believe also maybe IG has moved there for the purpose of protection of lives and property. Security, the media sometimes could report something, but if you go deep, maybe there was a likelihood of breakdown of law on property. IG may not have necessarily sealed the local governments, but have gone there to protect their lives, because certain property and IG went there. I don't think AG in his real sense will come and say, I'm sealing up 17 local government. They should not operate as a third tier of government. That will be most unreasonable.
Very good, Mr. Aondakaa, and I'm glad you shed more light on the scenario that would warrant the council dissolution, if any. But I would also like you to delve on the legality of the process of filling in the vacant positions due to suspension, or even on an interim basis of the council and, of course, its members as well. How legal is that? Like you said, it's an elective position.
There's no provision.
Yeah.
I have said qualified that if those local government chair were elected, there's no provision warranting the governor. The governor is my colleague. I expect him to have read the law and seen the provisions of charter. Local government should be democratically elected. I think somewhere around the separation of the tiers of government. He should just put himself in a position. This allegation of corruption exists among all the state government. The president will go and say, seal this state because I heard there's corruption. And we should not allow such things to continue in it. We are moving to the 20th century. People who have power should exercise the power with a sense of no basis. The Supreme Court has interpreted this. We should respect the Supreme Court. Supreme Court say you cannot remove an elected chairman except through the process enshrined in the local government law. That is impeachment or his tenure expires. The governor has no. On which basis? Are you saying all the councillors, all the chairmen were corrupt? I don't see any sense in this. And I expect that the governor, who is my colleague, a lawyer, should try to restrict this. May not have been properly elected. But there's you can try to exercise your power in such a way that reason, common sense, and public policy and the law goes together. This one is, and there's no provision for him to fill up with a caretaker.